Security hauled a black woman off the plane. The airline's value plummeted $3.8 billion that day. Shouts erupted before the plane stopped. First-class passengers glanced back as two uniformed officers stormed the aisle, targeting a woman in 2A. She sat still, composed, her calm amplifying the chaos. "Ma'am, come with us," one barked. She asked, "Why?" No reply. The flight attendant nearby avoided her gaze. The co-pilot, lingering by the cockpit, dodged the scene. Passengers sank into their seats, unsure whether to stare or look away. Without explanation, the officers unbuckled her belt, lifting her by her arms. "You're mistaken," she said softly. No one listened as they dragged her down the jet bridge, her bag trailing. A whisper from the back, "What's her crime?" Another hissed, probably snuck into first class. That quick, a story was born. The woman, black, poised, in a gray hoodie and jeans, was pulled past silent faces. Her tote fell, ignored. She stayed quiet, unshaken. No one knew her name, Lila Carter, 32, and the airline's $3.8 billion loss loomed. 2 hours earlier, the terminal hummed softly, coffee machines hissing. At 6:15 a.m., Lila reached Gate 41, dressed casually, not like someone holding sway over a massive airline merger. She blended in, mastering the art of being unseen in spaces not built for her. She stood aside, watching first-class passengers, suits, watches, wealth, cluster near the gate's podium. Lila, in sneakers and a faded Spelman hoodie, was last to board Group 1. The gate agent scanned her phone, paused, eyed her. "First class?" the agent asked, skeptical. Lila nodded, unfazed. "Seat 2A." The scanner beeped. The agent hesitated, muttered into her headset about a flag, then waved Lila through. She moved down the jet bridge, steady. At her seat, Lila settled quietly. A sealed envelope rested in her tote, heavy with purpose. The man in 2B barely nodded, engrossed in his laptop. He didn't notice the flight attendant skip Lila for a pre-flight drink or the hot towel past only 2 others. Lila stayed silent, observing, testing the system as planned. 30 minutes into the flight, turbulence flicked on the seatbelt sign. Lila rose for the bathroom. On her return, the lead flight attendant, Claire, watched her, expressionless. Back at her seat, Claire approached. "Ma'am, stay seated. We've had concerns about your movement." Lila blinked. "Concerns?" Claire's voice hardened. "Your behavior's been noted." Lila gripped her envelope. An hour later, descent began. Cabin lights dimmed, passengers stirred. An announcement crackled. "Remain seated after landing for a brief matter." Tension spiked. Eyes darted. Whispers spread. As the plane docked, 2 security officers boarded, marching to row 2. Without a word, they pulled Lila, the woman auditing the airline's ethics, from her seat. Lila held power to halt a $3.8 billion merger, assigned this flight for a covert audit by the firm controlling the airline. She said nothing as they dragged her off, but her glance at Claire carried weight. Claire's face twitched, not recognition, but fear. She sensed this wasn't just a passenger. The mistake was already made. The jet bridge smelled of bleach and haste. Lila walked between the officers, tote over her shoulder, envelope in hand. Not cuffed, not arrested, but the march through service corridors felt like punishment. They led her to a windowless room. Desk, chairs, blinking camera. "Wait here," an officer grunted. Lila sat, smoothing her envelope's edge. 5 minutes passed, then 10. A man in his late 30s entered, gray suit, tablet, feigning ease. "Ms. Carter, I'm Ethan Wells, guest relations," he said, no handshake. "Reports suggest uncooperative behavior. moving during secure phases, ignoring crew. Lila raised an eyebrow. Ignoring? Ethan avoided her gaze. It's about perceptions in today's travel climate. Lila leaned back. Escalated by whom? Ethan fidgeted. That's confidential. She pressed. So is this meeting. He cleared his throat. Your profile flagged mid-flight. The crew didn't know you were first class. Lila's voice sharpened. My boarding pass said 2A. Ethan glanced at her envelope. We're clarifying how you boarded first class. Lila pulled a sleek wallet from her tote, revealing a card with Apex Equities insignia. I'm not a random passenger, she said. I'm the auditor reviewing your airline's integrity for a $3.8 billion merger. My seat was a test. Ethan paled. You failed, Lila added, her words cutting through the room's stale air. Ethan stood, shaken. We'll issue an apology. This was a mistake. Lila's eyes narrowed. A mistake? He stammered, offering vouchers, lounge access. No, she said firmly. I want you to feel this moment. The panic of realizing you dismissed someone who holds your future. She rose, envelope in hand, leaving Ethan speechless. The terminal buzzed as Lila exited the room. Behind a glass wall, a news ticker flashed. Apex Equity halts $3.8 billion airline merger over internal review. Lila didn't react, but passing a cluster of rushing managers, one froze, recognizing her. Her brief glance said everything. She wasn't just a passenger. She was their reckoning. By 9:13 a.m., Skyline Air's internal Slack erupted. An urgent audit request hit the compliance team, demanding logs from Flight 4471. Whispers turned to panic. In a glass-walled boardroom, executives watched gate footage. Lila, calm, boarding, then escorted out. She's no ordinary passenger, legal counsel Mark Tate said. She's Apex's merger gatekeeper. She didn't resist, said Risk Director Sarah Lynn, jaw tight. Now she holds our merger hostage. VP. Greg Harmon groaned. Why didn't she say who she was? Tate snapped. She was testing us to see who'd dismiss her. The room fell silent. On screen, Lila's calm face stared back, unyielding as the crisis deepened. Where's she now? Harmon asked. Back in the terminal, Tate replied, quietly, but Apex froze all asset movement. Sarah stared at the footage, Lila's image frozen at gate C12. Can we fix this? She asked. Tate's mouth twitched. Only if our apology outweighs the insult. And we're running out of time. Lila reached the VIP lounge. The air was cool, controlled. A receptionist stood. Miss Carter, a suite's ready. Mr. Ellis from Skyline's leadership requests a meeting. Lila didn't respond, pulling out her tablet. Apex's interface glowed, showing flagged incidents, unverified seat changes, ignored services. She tapped Submit Findings, her silence louder than words. Moments later, Tom Ellis, 48, navy suit, strained smile, approached. Miss Carter, I'm sorry for what happened. Lila cut him off. Save it. You think this is about a memo? She leaned in. Your system assumed I was nobody. That's your failure. Ellis nodded, rattled. We're losing the merger, he admitted, voice low. Lila's voice was steady. You didn't just fail a customer. You failed power. She slid a document from her tote. This stays sealed. I haven't ended the merger yet. Ellis's eyes widened. Unless you document every staff action against me, every override, every bias, and flag them ethically. Ellis swallowed. We'll do it. Lila stood. Number you'll prove it failed. She walked out, tablet glowing with Apex's seal. An alert hit Skyline's leadership. Ethics escalation, priority 1, subject. Lila Carter, stakeholder. Downstairs, Flight 4471's crew faced debriefs, palms sweaty. Above, Lila was rewriting their future, one documented slight at a time. By 11:02 a.m., a second memo landed, sharp and procedural. Stakeholder-initiated review, Flight 4471, personnel action required. In conference room 8C, Claire sat, hands twisting, as footage looped, her skipping Lila, whispering row filler on headset. "It's not one moment," said Ops Director James Holt. "It's a pattern of exclusion." Claire's voice cracked. "I didn't know who she was." HR's Lisa Grant cut in. "That's the issue. It's not about status, it's behavior." The compliance officer held a transcript. "You flagged her as non-compliant." Claire flushed. "It was a mistake." Lisa shook her head. It's culture." The room's silence was heavy, damning. Across the terminal, gate supervisor Nate stood by a locked terminal, badge failing. A manager approached. "Upstairs, bring your logs." Nate followed, dread settling in. Meanwhile, Lila sat in a leather chair, scanning her tablet. Her assistant, Ryan, arrived. "We've got logs, chatter, false reports, all documented." Lila scrolled, unflinching. Ryan whispered, "Valuation dropped 7.2% today, markets tying it to merger instability." Lila's eyes stayed steady. "They think I'm chaos, I'm clarity." Ryan nodded. "Override clause is ready." Lila didn't sign, not yet. At 12:41 p.m., a third memo hit. Culture review, Class B escalation. Every bias, every slight was now flagged. Claire sat alone, post-debrief, badge off, voice raw. No one shouted, but the precision of the review unnerved her. A junior attendant knocked. "Ops Room 3C, you're off international." Claire stood. "Permanent?" No answer. The system she trusted had turned, exposing her assumptions in cold, documented clarity. In Skyline's tower, two executives watched Lila's concourse footage. "She said nothing," one muttered. "She didn't need to," the other replied. Their screens flashed. Apex final notice. Ethics response pending. 24 hours left. Lila watched the same alert, gazing at a jet climbing skyward. Her silence roared louder than any apology. At 3 p.m., Skyline's press team released a statement. "We're reviewing an isolated incident on Flight 4471. Skyline values inclusivity." Lila read it in the executive suite, tote untouched. Ryan frowned. "They're spinning it as a one-off." Lila's eyes didn't waver. "That's their script. My silence will rewrite their system." Lila stood, gazing at jets taxiing like pawns. Her quiet wasn't retreat, it was strategy. "No public reply," she told Ryan. "We move privately." Silence didn't shield me, but it'll corner them. Across the terminal, Claire and Nate sat in HR, duties paused, whispers spreading. The system was unraveling, exposed by one woman's calm. At 3:17 p.m., Apex's terminals flashed, compliance escalation, stakeholder override. The $3.8 billion merger froze. Fiduciary delay, misconduct cited, no name given. Skyline's boardroom erupted. "How long?" CEO Victor Ramsey demanded. "Indefinite," counsel replied. "We don't know her identity." A quiet voice added, "We found her." "She's Lila Carter?" Ramsey paced. "Find her." The compliance lead hesitated. "We did. She's back in the terminal." Lila moved through the private exit, passing Claire, who froze, clipboard in hand. Their eyes met. Lila didn't pause. Power didn't need to shout. She entered the VIP lounge, where no one dared question her now. In the lounge, a receptionist stood. "Miss Carter, Mr. Ramsey requests a meeting." Lila opened her tablet, Apex's dashboard glowing. Flags piled up, unverified flags, skipped services, security overreach. She tapped submit. "I'll see Ramsey," she said, voice calm. The receptionist hurried off, sensing the weight of Lila's quiet authority. Ramsey, 52, approached, suit crisp, nerves frayed. "Miss Carter, I'm sorry." Lila stopped him. "You built a system that erased me. That's the issue." Ramsey nodded. "The merger's at risk." Lila's gaze was steel. "You didn't fail a passenger. You failed accountability. Fix it, or I'll end it." Lila pulled the sealed document. "I haven't triggered the termination yet." Ramsey's face tightened. "I want every staff action logged, every bias, every override. This isn't about my seat, it's your culture." Ramsey exhaled. "We'll comply." Lila stood. "Number, you'll expose it." She left, her tablet pulsing with Apex's seal. Alerts rolled out. Ethics review, Lila Carter, Priority 1. Flight 4471's crew faced scrutiny. Supervisors pale. Lila's silence reshaped Skyline's future, each slight a nail in their coffin. By noon, Ramsey's team scrambled, logs pulled, names flagged. Lila's calm had sparked a fire no press release could extinguish. In the lounge, Lila scanned Ryan's dashboard. Crew chatter, false flags, all logged. She nodded. "Valuation's down 8%, Ryan added. "Investors smell blood." Lila's voice was steady. "They see a glitch, I see a mirror." She didn't sign the override, not yet. Her silence held Skyline's fate in its grip. At 12:41 p.m., a mandatory review hit every Skyline department. Audit files detailed every exclusion, skipped services, biased remarks, procedural cloaks. Claire sat, hands clasped, debrief done. The system's precision unnerved her. A knock. "Ops 3C, you're grounded." She stood, badge heavy, knowing the cost of her assumptions. In Skyline's tower, executives rewatched Lila's exit. "She didn't fight," one said. "She didn't have to," another replied. A new alert. Apex freeze. Ethics pending. 24 hours remained. Lila watched the same notice, gazing at a jet climbing. Her silence outshouted any corporate spin, its echo reshaping an industry. At 3 p.m., Skyline's press release dropped. "We're addressing a customer service issue on Flight 4471. Skyline champions equity." Lila read it in the suite, tote still. Ryan scoffed. "They're dodging." Lila's eyes were calm. "They always do. My silence will force their hand." Her quiet was a weapon, sharpening. Lila stood by the window, jets moving like pieces on a board. Her silence wasn't surrender, it was checkmate. "No public statement," she told Ryan. "We strike privately. Silence didn't save me, but it'll trap them." Claire and Nate sat in HR. Duties paused, whispers loud. Lila's calm was dismantling their world. At 3:17 p.m., Apex's system flashed. Stakeholder override, compliance breach. The $3.8 billion merger stalled. Misconduct cited, identity hidden. Skyline's boardroom boiled. "How long?" Ramsey barked. "Until we resolve it," counsel said. "She's Lila Carter," a voice added. Ramsey froze. "She's the signature, and we dragged her off." Ramsey gripped the table. "Find her." The compliance lead hesitated. "She's in the terminal." Lila passed Claire, who clutched her clipboard, eyes wide. Lila didn't stop. Power didn't need fanfare. In the VIP lounge, no one questioned her. She was no longer invisible. She was the storm they'd flown into. The receptionist stood. "Miss Carter, Ramsey's waiting." Lila's tablet glowed with Apex's logs, unverified flags, skipped services, security oversteps. She tapped, submit. "I'll see him," she said, voice steady. The receptionist nodded, sensing Lila's quiet held more weight than any shout. The room shifted as Lila prepared to face Ramsey. Ramsey approached, suit sharp, eyes strained. "Miss Carter, I'm sorry," Lila cut in. "Your system erased me, that's the crime." Ramsey nodded. "The merger's slipping." Lila's gaze pierced. "You didn't fail a passenger. You failed trust. Fix it or I'll end it." Her words landed like a verdict, unyielding. Lila slid the sealed document forward. "I haven't killed the merger yet." Ramsey's jaw tightened. "I want every bias logged, every override, every slight. This isn't my seat, it's your failure." Ramsey exhaled. "We'll comply." Lila rose. "Number, you'll expose it." She left, Apex's seal glowing, her silence a blade. Lila reached her hotel suite at 5:10 p.m., slipping through a private exit to avoid the terminal's chaos. She looked sharp, not drained. Her phone rang. Unknown caller. "Lila Carter?" A voice probed. She didn't answer. "This is Eric Voss, Apex Compliance. You're stalling $3.8 billion. Lila said, "I'm watching who breaks first." Voss pushed. "You're risking everything." Lila's tone iced. "The real risk is just starting." She hung up. By 6:03 p.m., Skyline's legal team received her signed memo. Merger on hold. Ethics probe pending. Stocks sank 4%. Chats buzzed. A janitor saw Claire's badge taken, muttering, "They thought she was invisible." Next morning, 8:30 a.m., Skyline's executives went silent. No interviews, only scripted replies. Internally, they raced to contain the damage. Lila hadn't spoken since her memo. The system was crumbling. Ryan met her in the lobby, jittery. "They've suspended 2 VPs, rerouted flights, reassigned dozens." Lila sipped coffee. "They're already behind." Ryan pressed, "What's the play?" Lila's gaze was steady. "Let the fallout land." In Charlotte, CEO Victor Ramsey stared at a dropped Apex call. His screen blared, "Hold active, code 9903. He slammed the desk. "She was on that plane." His compliance officer shrank. "Her identity was shielded," he mumbled. Ramsey snapped, "And we dragged her off." At 11:47 a.m., Lila entered Sterling and Cole's offices. A black receptionist stood. "Miss Carter, we're ready." Lila nodded. "Thank you, Nora." In a glass-walled boardroom, Skyline gleaming, 3 attorneys waited. Senior partner Alan Mercer spoke. "We're sorry. What do you need?" Lila's voice cut through. "Map your system. Every name, every override, every bias that erased me. You built it. Show how it failed." Mercer nodded. "The merger?" Lila opened her tablet, agreement glowing. "Frozen until you confess publicly, to shareholders, not a press release." Mercer exhaled. "That's bold." Lila didn't blink. "It's required," Lila said. In HR, Claire sat, badge flipped, hands clenched. Supervisor Paul Reed leaned in. "Footage shows you skipped her, flagged her without cause." Claire's voice trembled. "I didn't know her." Reed pressed. "You assumed she didn't fit." That sparked a $3.8 billion audit. It's not just you now. Claire stammered. "I wasn't cruel." Reed sighed. "Your bias cost us. The whole crew's under review. Pilot, gate, security." By 3:15 p.m., Skyline's stock dropped 2.3%. A leaked video spread. Lila, calm, dragged off, passengers mute. No chaos, just quiet power exposed. It went viral, hashtags trending. Flying while black, Lila Carter rising. Media dug into race, class, bias, why assumptions targeted Lila. She stayed silent, letting the system expose itself. In Logan's first-class lounge Thursday morning, tension hung heavy. Corporate regulars moved warily. Lila sat at a corner table. Blazer sharp, portfolio closed. fresh off a call with Apex's ethics board. Her terms were noted. Pressure building. Skyline's stock alerts flashed. A 5% plunge. Apex's freeze, tied to Lila, held tight. Skyline's PR team scribbled deflections. We regret. We're investigating. But the video, a black woman poised, escorted off, burned into public memory. No spin could erase it. The truth was global. CNN's anchor spoke plainly. Lila Carter wasn't just a passenger. She's the key to a $3.8 billion merger, treated as a threat. In Apex's strategy suite, Vice President Elaine Chen scanned the audit. 15 breaches, 7 crew, 4 gate, 1 security, all bias-driven. This isn't a glitch, it's culture. Acquisitions had Miles Trent paced. If this links to us, we're tainted. Chen cut in. Act now, or we're complicit. Trent asked, what's Lila's ask? Chen showed a file. Ramsey's public apology, crew demotions, $20 million for equity training. Trent exhaled. She wants change. Chen nodded. She's forcing it. Lila walked the terminal, unchallenged, her presence parting crowds like a silent wave. She paused at runway 4R's window, watching a Skyline jet climb. She'd shifted something irreversible. Her phone rang. Ramsey. We'll meet your terms, he said. Lila replied, say it publicly. Say my name. She hung up, resolute. Skyline's emergency call, legal, PR, executives imploded. Apex flagged us for ethics violations, counsel said. Future deals need double audits. Silence gripped the room. Someone whispered she showed our flaws. Ramsey, pale, tossed his script. No spin, she wants truth. Book the press conference, I'll speak, he said, voice heavy. At 4:12 p.m., Ramsey faced cameras, unscripted. We failed Lila Carter, a merger stakeholder and a person owed dignity. We gave none. His voice wavered. We lose trust, truth. I'm sorry. The feed cut. Lila's silence had forced accountability, her calm louder than any corporate apology. Lila rewatched the stream in a private lounge, face unreadable. Justice wasn't a show, it was a reckoning. In Skyline's boardroom, Ramsey faced her, no cameras. Claire and Nate are fired, others reviewed, he said. Lila nodded, unmoved. She wasn't after names, she wanted systems rebuilt, biases exposed. You've done the basics, Lila said. Now, overhaul what's broken, retrain staff, link it to bonuses, audit equity quarterly, mandate bias training yearly, third-party led. Ramsey blinked. That's huge. Lila's voice was iron. You lost $3.8 billion. I'm your lifeline. This is the minimum. Ramsey nodded, outmaneuvered. A week later, a memo hit major airlines. Carter Protocol, passenger equity. 10 standards, Lila's vision spread fast. CEOs acted quietly, her name unshakable. Lila returned to the airport for a real trip. The agent froze. Miss Carter, you're pre-boarded, lounge access. Lila smiled. Just treat me fairly. In the lounge, a man approached. My cousin saw what happened, says our kids needed it. Thank you. Lila's smile warmed. Tell them, power whispers but echoes loud. He left, inspired. Lila boarded, taking 2A, not for perks, but because she'd redefined who belonged, reshaping an industry's core. Lila's story wasn't Skyline's collapse. It was her ascent. She didn't rewrite rules, she revealed their flaws. The world listened, shifted. If this moved you, share it. Comment. What struck you? Where are you? Justice doesn't shout. It steps softly, then shakes all. Subscribe for stories that expose, challenge, amplify. By evening, Skyline's valuation steadied, but scars remained. Lila's terms forced training, audits, accountability. Hashtags faded, but her impact didn't. She'd exposed a system's blind spots, not with noise but precision. Passengers now boarded with eyes sharper, expecting fairness. Lila's silence had rewritten the skies, one flight at a time. In Apex's offices, Chen reviewed the final audit. Lila's protocol is industry-wide now, she told Trent. No one's untouchable. Trent nodded. She didn't just win, she changed the game. Outside, a Skyline jet taxied, crew trained under new rules. Lila's shadow loomed, a reminder. Power listens when silence speaks. Lila sat in a quiet cafe, tablet off, reflecting. Her fight wasn't personal, it was structural. She'd forced mirrors on an industry blind to its biases. Ramsey's apology echoed, but her conditions, training, oversight, equity, were the real victory. She sipped tea, knowing her calm had sparked a revolution still unfolding. At Skyline's HQ, Ramsey met his board. "We comply fully," he said, voice low. "Lila's terms are law." A director asked, "Can we recover?" Ramsey paused. "Only if we rebuild trust." The Carter Protocol rolled out, mandatory, its name a warning. Lila's silence had become their loudest mandate. Lila boarded another flight days later, no fanfare. Passengers whispered, recognizing her. A flight attendant offered a drink, eyes nervous. Lila accepted, nodding. The skies felt different. Watchful, accountable. Her tote held no envelope now, just her tablet. Apex's seal faded. She'd won, not by shouting, but by standing firm. Social media still buzzed with hashtag Lila Carter Rising. Commenters shared stories of bias, inspired by her. "She showed us," one wrote. Lila didn't engage. Her victory was in boardrooms, not hashtags. Airlines adopted her standards, fearing her shadow. She'd turned silence into a force no system could ignore. In a small airport, a black woman boarded first class unquestioned. The crew, trained under Carter's rules, served her promptly. She smiled, unaware of Lila's fight but living its impact. Across terminals, fairness crept in, not perfect, but growing. Lila's calm had rippled, reshaping how the skies saw power. Lila met Ryan one last time. "Industry's shifting," he said. "Your protocol's standard now." Lila nodded. "It's not about me, it's about who comes next." Her eyes scanned the horizon, jets climbing. She'd carved a path not for applause, but for those silenced before. Her legacy was their voice. Ramsey faced shareholders again, no cameras. "We failed Lila Carter, and we're rebuilding because of her." His voice was raw. "Equity's not optional, it's our future." Attendees nodded, some uneasy, but none argued. Lila's name carried weight, her silence louder than their protests. The industry was hers now. Lila walked through a terminal, unnoticed. Her Spelman hoodie faded. A young girl watched, clutching her mother's hand. "Is that her?" she whispered. The mother nodded. Lila caught their gaze, smiled faintly. Power didn't need a spotlight. It moved quietly, leaving echoes. The girl stood taller, inspired, ready to soar. Months later, the Carter Protocol was law in 12 airlines. Training manuals cited Lila's case. Crews learned her name, not as a threat, but a lesson. Skyline stock recovered, but its culture bore her mark. Lila traveled again, seat 2A, calm as ever, knowing she'd change the skies forever. A news outlet ran a feature, Lila Carter, the silence that shook aviation. It detailed her audit, her terms, her victory. Readers commented, "She's my hero." Lila didn't read it. She was on a flight, gazing out, tote light. Her fight wasn't for fame. It was for fairness, now taking root. In a boardroom, a new CEO praised the protocol. "Lila Carter showed us who we ignored." Her name was a benchmark, her story a warning. Terminals hummed differently. Agents checked biases. Passengers felt seen. Lila's silence had built a system that listened, its echoes reshaping an industry's heart. Lila stood at a gate, boarding pass in hand. No one flinched. The agent smiled. "Welcome, Miss Carter." She nodded, stepping aboard. The skies weren't hers. They were everyone's now. Her fight had carved a space for others. Her silence a revolution. Power whispered, and the world had no choice but to hear. Lila's story wasn't Skyline's fall. It was her rise. She didn't rewrite rules, she exposed their cracks. The world listened, shifted. If this moved you, share it. Comment. What struck you? Where are you? Justice doesn't shout. It steps softly, then shakes all. Subscribe for stories that expose, challenge, amplify. The terminal's hum faded as Lila Carter's silence roared, a force that toppled a $3.8 billion empire in a single day. Her story, etched in the viral video of her calm escort from Seat 2A, reveals two searing lessons. First, power doesn't shout, it whispers, and those who listen reshape the world. Lila, a 32-year-old black woman in a faded Spelman hoodie, held the pen to a merger's fate, yet Skyline Air saw only a row filler. Her quiet, not chaos, froze their future, forcing CEO Victor Ramsey to face cameras and confess, "We failed Lila Carter." Her restraint, sharper than any protest, exposed a system blind to her worth, teaching us that true authority lies in composure, not volume. When she demanded retraining, quarterly audits, and third-party oversight, her voice, steady, unyielding, carved the Carter Protocol, now law across 12 airlines. Second, assumptions are a silent cancer, eroding trust and igniting ruin. Claire's whispered bias, Nate's unchecked flag, and a crew's dismissal of Lila as not belonging sparked a 5% stock plunge and a global outcry. Hashtags like "Rocks flying while black" burned across screens, not because Lila screamed, but because she stood still, letting Skyline's prejudice indict itself. The janitors mutter, "They thought she was invisible," haunted the terminal, a reminder that every ignored passenger could hold a boardroom's keys. Lila's fight wasn't for her seat, but for a system that sees beyond snap judgments. Her terms, forcing $20 million into equity training, ensured no one else would be dragged off for existing. As she boarded another flight, the agent's nervous smile and the girl's awed whisper, "Is that her?" proved her silence had shifted the skies. In America, where fairness is preached but often sidestepped, Lila's story demands we check our biases at the gate and wield power with precision. The Carter Protocol, born from her calm, now guards every terminal from Miami to Seattle, a testament to a woman who didn't need to shout to make the world listen. Her legacy echoes in every jet's climb, a warning. Underestimate at your peril, for silence can shake empires. Lila Carter's silence shook a $3.8 billion empire. What moment in her story hit you hardest? Drop a like, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to my YouTube channel for more stories that expose injustice and amplify truth. From terminals to boardrooms, let's spark change together. Where are you watching from, and what's one lesson Lila's fight taught you? Join us to keep the conversation soaring.